Bonjour tout le monde. Je tiens d'abord à remercier le Premier ministre Abe d'accueillir Sophie et moi, ainsi que la ministre Freeland et le ministre Morneau au Japon. It was a real pleasure to host Prime Minister Abe in Canada this spring, where we talked about everything from strengthening the friendship between our two countries to new investments that create opportunities for the middle class. So it's great to be here in Osaka as we continue this work together. By any measure, we live in an era of incredible possibility. Every day, as our world grows more interconnected, our citizens have the power to collaborate and overcome challenges we thought we might never solve. Working together is the way forward. And that's exactly the approach our government has brought to this G20 summit. Yesterday, I met with like-minded European partners to talk about some of the most pressing issues facing us today. Issues we have to work side by side on, like fighting climate change and promoting progressive trade that strengthens the middle class. Increasingly, that also means adapting to the new digital space, because at the same time as online platforms are helping people connect, they're also becoming breeding grounds for radicalism and hate. On Friday, I had a conversation with President Macron and Prime Minister Morrison about how we can fight extremism in every form. Intolerance must never be allowed to set down roots. Our government has stepped up investigations into hate groups and extremist activities at home, while building on the Christchurch call to action for a coordinated global response. Mais tout comme on doit unir nos forces pour combattre la haine, on doit aussi faire front commun pour défendre la démocratie et la règle de droit. Ce matin, j'ai rencontré des membres du groupe de Lima pour discuter de la situation au Venezuela et de la crise humanitaire dans la région qui nous préoccupe énormément. Notre gouvernement espère que la démocratie et la stabilité seront rétablies au Venezuela de façon pacifique. This week's meeting in Osaka was also an opportunity to make progress on another key test facing our world, people's anxiety about being left behind in a changing economy. It's a real and valid concern. And the solution starts with putting the middle class front and center, something our government has been doing since day one. Look no further than the comprehensive and progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. I was pleased to have many conversations about with our CPTPP partners about opening up new opportunities for our entrepreneurs. We also met with key partners like South Korea and Vietnam to strengthen our people-to-people ties and create good jobs for our citizens through stronger trading relationships. We know that sustainable economic growth is built on a strong middle class. But no matter our progress on training for young people or making life more affordable to families, we can't set people up for success if we don't also take action to protect the environment. Pas juste les pêcheurs, mais tout le monde devrait être inquiet que si on continue à ce rythme, dans quelques décennies, il y aura plus de plastique que de poissons dans nos océans. Plus tôt ce mois-ci, notre gouvernement a donc annoncé que dès 2021, le Canada va bannir les plastiques nocifs non réutilisables. Mais c'est un combat qu'on ne peut pas gagner tout seul. L'année dernière, à Charlevoix, on a adopté une charte sur les plastiques dans les océans. Et le sommet de cette semaine nous a donné la chance de faire le point sur les progrès réalisés jusqu'à présent. Again, I want to congratulate Japan and Prime Minister Abe on a productive and successful summit. As G20 nations, we have the power to create a brighter future for all our citizens. That's a responsibility our government will always take up, whether we're delivering real change for the middle class or standing up for human rights around the world. Thank you. I'm now happy to take questions.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau, Madeleine Desmorin, Radio-Canada. Est-ce que la rencontre Trump-Xi a aidé nos relations entre le Canada et la Chine?
Je sais qu'au G20, d'avoir des rencontres entre les différents leaders, c'est essentiel pour avancer l'économie, pour avancer nos intérêts. Et j'espère et je pense que ça a été productif. Mais je n'ai pas d'informations particulières là-dessus.
Est-ce que vous savez si les cas des deux Michael ont été soulevés pendant cette rencontre?
Comme on sait très bien, nos alliés à travers le monde ont souligné à maintes reprises la situation des deux Michael et je suis certain que ça a été soulevé pendant cette rencontre-là par M. Trump, mais ce serait une question à poser à M. Trump.
En anglais.
As you know, many of our allies around the world have been highlighting the situation of the two Canadians detained in China, and we are confident that the President also brought that up, but you'll have to ask him for details.
On China, Minister Freeland has said that your strategies essentially don't escalate but don't back down. So what is the next step?
As you know, I think it was important that I have an opportunity to have face-to-face discussions with President Xi on this issue. We take the situation of the two Canadians detained in China extremely seriously, and it was important that we have those exchanges with President Xi. As for next steps, we're going to keep working hard on this issue. Je pense que c'était très important d'avoir des conversations directes avec le président Xi sur la situation des Canadiens détenus en Chine. C'est une situation qui nous préoccupe énormément et c'est pourquoi nous allons continuer de travailler là-dessus, mais c'est important qu'on ait des conversations directes avec le président.
And what's the line in the sand for you to take retaliatory measures on China?
Now, we're going to continue to work on things that are going to help the Canadians detained, are going to help the relationship and the economic opportunities for Canadians in China and the opportunity to create growth and progress around the world. We recognize that Canada and China are going through a challenging moment right now, but that's why having direct conversations is an essential part of how we move forward. Nous reconnaissons que notre priorité, c'est toujours la sécurité des Canadiens et le bien-être de notre économie, mais nous allons toujours être très clairs sur les étapes que nous devons suivre pour défendre les intérêts des Canadiens à tous les niveaux. C'est pour ça que c'était important d'avoir une conversation face à face avec le président Xi et nous allons continuer de travailler pour défendre les intérêts des Canadiens.
Glenn McGregor, CTV News. Prime Minister, can you describe that meeting, that face-to-face meeting with President Xi last night?
We had a number of meetings over the course of this summit. As I said, there were constructive conversations. I'm not going to get into details. I don't think that's helpful to do this in public, but you can rest assured that the case of Canadians who've been detained in China is something we will continue to take very seriously.
Was there any commitment for you and President Xi personally to meet again or talk again in the future?
As I said, I'm not going to go into details, but I will say that it is a good thing that we were able to have constructive conversations face-to-face. And we will continue to work to uphold Canada and Canadians' interests. Comme j'ai dit, c'est important qu'on ait eu des opportunités d'avoir des conversations face à face. Je ne vais pas aller dans les détails, je ne pense pas que c'est utile de parler publiquement des processus délicats dans lesquels on est en train d'avoir des conversations. Mais les Canadiens peuvent savoir qu'on va toujours défendre les intérêts des Canadiens, particulièrement les deux Canadiens détenus en Chine.
Prime Minister Mercedes Stephenson, Global News. In the case of Vice Admiral Mark Norman, your government had said that he would return to work. He didn't return a single day to National Defence Headquarters after his court case and the charges were stayed. Your government has offered to pay his legal fees, but you've not apologized to him, and now you've settled. Why the settlement?
That is a conversation between the Vice Admiral and the Ministry of National Defence. That was a process that was undertaken independently, and we appreciate that it is now concluded.
But you personally did say you expected his case to end up in court, and that led to his legal counsel alleging political interference and a case that could have blown up during the election campaign. So what do you say to Canadians who say you're not fulfilling your promise to be transparent on this case?
The process in this case was followed in a responsible way. Like I said from the very beginning, the Chief of Defence Staff informed me of the steps that he was taking in regards to Vice Admiral Norman a number of months, indeed years ago now. And we respect the unfolding of our justice system. Comme j'ai dit, c'est le chef de la Défense qui m'a informé des étapes qu'il allait faire dans le cas du vice-amiral Norman et nous respectons les processus qui se sont découlés.
Prime Minister, you were at a women's empowerment session today, and your Saudi counterpart was there as well, front and center. As your government has pointed out, that government is detaining women's rights activists. Amnesty International says they're being mistreated, sexually abused. As a self-declared feminist prime minister, how did you feel sharing that particular venue with that particular person?
I think, first of all, the invitations were made to all leaders attending the G20 to be there. As you know, it's extremely important to me that we highlighted the need to fight for gender equality, the need to make continued progress on women's empowerment. So I thought it was very important that this be highlighted here at this G20. As you may know, next year Saudi Arabia will be hosting this gathering, and therefore, as it has been over the past years, the issue of women's empowerment, of women's equality, has been on the agenda for many years, and I hope that it is something that will be front and center in Saudi Arabia as well.
President Trump said to Mohammed bin Salman today that he wanted to congratulate him particularly on the progress for women in that country. Is that your view of what's happening in Saudi Arabia?
I had an opportunity yesterday to speak directly with Mohammed bin Salman, in which I highlighted our continued concerns about the Khashoggi investigation, about the situation on human rights in Saudi Arabia. But we also talked about the fact that since they are hosting next year, there is an opportunity for them to demonstrate the reforms that they have begun to undertake and move quicker on that, and that Canada certainly hopes that there will be forward progress on that. J'ai eu la chance d'avoir un échange avec Mohammed bin Salman hier soir, où j'ai souligné mes préoccupations par rapport à l'enquête sur le meurtre de Khashoggi, et j'ai aussi souligné l'importance des droits de la personne pour le Canada, en ajoutant que puisque l'Arabie saoudite va être le pays hôte du G20 l'année prochaine, j'espérais que les réformes qu'ils ont commencé à entamer vont être accélérées et on va voir plus de progrès dans la cause de la femme, dans la cause des droits de la personne d'ici l'année prochaine en Arabie saoudite.
Hi, Prime Minister. You described the relationship with China as challenging, tense. How would you describe the relationship coming out of the G20?
Like I said, I think it was important that we would have a face-to-face opportunity to engage directly, me and President Xi, so that we can hopefully keep moving forward on this issue. I don't want to go into details. I don't think it needs to be done in public, but Canadians can rest assured that we're going to remain very focused on Canadian interests, including, obviously, the interests of the two Canadians that have been detained.
Do you feel that you're going to be able to have face-to-face conversations quickly with the President? And did you personally bring up the cases of the two Michaels?
Like I said, this summit is an opportunity exactly to have these kinds of conversations that are so important in moving forward to resolve challenging issues. That's exactly what I did with President Xi, and this is exactly where we are going to continue to move forward, hopefully in a constructive way.
Last question.
Hi, I'm Yuko from NHK Japan Broadcasting Corporation. So there's U.S. and China trade war happening and definitely a conflict. But in the Osaka Declaration, it says the importance of cooperation in the economic level. So how are you going to push forward the talk and make the declaration actually into action?
Well, one of the issues that we've seen over the past years in regards to the global trading system, trade conflicts, challenges we're facing, is a weakened WTO that is in need of reform. That is why Canada has been leading the Ottawa Group to look into and to create a path forward for WTO reform. We've gathered a group of like-minded countries. Both China and the U.S. are not at the table, but are being kept apprised of our process as we recognize that there is a need to reform and improve the WTO. That is something Canada, as a country very dependent on trade, believes in deeply. We've made tremendous advances in trade over the past few years. We now have, we're the only G7 country with a free trade deal with every other G7 country. We have privileged access to 2/3 of the global GDP because we have signed significant trade deals with Europe, secured our trade deal with North America, and moved forward with the CPTPP. There's always more work to do, but we believe that forward progress on trade happens when we sit down and work as we have this weekend.
And also for Japan, it is important to cooperate with Canada in economic level, but also for a security level as well. So how are you going to work with Japan, especially around the issue in DPRK?
We were very pleased over the past years to deepen the security cooperation with Japan. Canada and Japan, as you know, are good friends and deep allies, and the fact that we've been able to move forward in deepening our security cooperation is a positive step. In regards to DPRK, we remain extremely concerned with the rising tensions or the tensions in the peninsula, on the peninsula. That is why Canada has committed assets, both ships and airplanes, to enforcing the international sanctions that are so important in the path forward in DPRK. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you very much. Bonne journée tout le monde.